Warning: this is the true account of an American nurse's terrifying experience during her night shift. Only those with a brave heart should listen until the end. The following story was written by Emily R., a registered nurse who worked nights at St. Clair Medical Center in upstate New York. What she experienced in room 313 is not part of any hospital record, but it has haunted her ever since. My name is Emily. I've been a night shift nurse for over 11 years. People think the hospital is quiet after dark, peaceful, even. But they don't see what I see. They don't hear the things I've heard. In January 2019, something happened to me on shift that I've never spoken about publicly. I've written it down 100 times, but it never felt real enough. Until now. That night was the last time I ever worked in room 313. I had just been transferred from the trauma unit to the psychiatric wing at St. Clair Medical Center, a somewhat outdated hospital just outside of upstate New York. It had that smell of old metal and sanitizer, and the hallways always felt a bit too long. On my first night, the supervisor walked me through the rounds. Everything seemed normal until she paused by one door. She looked at me and said, "Avoid room 313. We don't use it anymore." I asked why. She didn't give a straight answer. Just said, "It's sealed. No patients. Just leave it alone." I nodded, but honestly, I didn't believe in all that ghost story stuff. I figured it was just some old maintenance issue or superstition. My shift went on like usual. Medication rounds. Vitals. Notes. Everything by the book. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., I heard something. A soft creaking sound echoed down the West Wing hallway. It was the kind of sound you'd hear when an old door slowly opens on its own. I looked at the monitors. All patients were stable. No alerts. I walked toward the noise, and when I turned the corner, I stopped cold. Room 313's door was open. Just a few inches. Enough to see the darkness inside. But I had seen that door earlier. It was shut tight. I even remember the tag, "Maintenance. Do not enter." Still, I stepped in. Just to check. The air inside the room was freezing. Not just cold. My breath fogged up in front of me. There was no one on the bed. But the sheets were crumpled, and the mattress had a dent. Someone had been lying there, recently. Then I heard a whisper. It was right by my ear. A girl's voice. She said, "No more injections, please." I spun around, heart pounding, but no one was there. Just that heavy, stale air, and the faint scent of antiseptic and something else, something rotten. I backed out of the room, shut the door, and didn't speak a word to anyone. But the next day, I had to know. I went down to records and started searching the archives. It took hours, but I finally found something. An old file. Nearly forgotten. Elena Maris. 14 years old. Admitted in 2002. Depression. Multiple suicide attempts. The last note in her chart sent a chill through my spine. Patient found unresponsive. Suspected overdose. Time of death, 3:17 a.m. Room, 313. And the date? January 5th. The exact date I had been working. The voice I heard, the cold, it all made a sick kind of sense. I couldn't stay away. The next night, I requested the same shift. I had to see if it would happen again. I don't know why. Curiosity. Guilt. Maybe something in me needed to hear her again. 3:17 a.m. Right on time. I heard the creak again. I walked toward room 313, door slightly open. The air was even colder this time. I stepped inside. And that's when I saw her. Just a figure, standing by the window in a thin white gown. Her back was turned. She slowly turned around. Her face was pale, but her eyes, they were empty. Black. Hollow. She looked right at me, and I heard her voice again. Clearer this time. They didn't listen. I didn't want to die. And then, the door behind me slammed shut. I was locked inside. I pressed against it, trying to get out. And all I could say was, Elena. I hear you. Suddenly, the air shifted. The cold faded. The silence returned. When I opened the door again, the room was empty. No figure. No voice. But something inside me had changed. I never worked another shift in that wing again. I left the hospital within weeks. But every year, on January 5th, I still remember. And others do too. Because to this day, night nurses say they hear something in room 313, a quiet whisper, soft and desperate. I didn't want to die. Some patients never leave their rooms. Some stories stay locked behind hospital doors. But if you ever work a night shift, and you hear a door creak open at 3:17 a.m., don't answer it.